Altenberg in Germany, the venue for the 2021 BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Championship. We're heading into the second day of action, and after a crisp, fast day one, it's a snowstorm for day two. The third and fourth runs will decide the fate of all our participants and the destiny of the medals. Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage. Martin Haven and John Morgan getting ready to watch what might be a bit of a wild third heat, John.
Well, Laura Nolte, last year in this event, she crashed out in the second run and took herself out of podium position. Yesterday, she had no problem with the second run. She's in third place, hoping to get some redemption on this track that challenged her last year. Kim Kalicki, well, she's medaled on every race she's been in this year but one, and she had a fantastic second run to put herself in a silver medal position. But both of these German sleds and everybody else who came down this track successfully, well, they're all chasing down this veteran team, Kaylee Humphries and Lolo Jones, who didn't have the best start times, but had the best down times to beat on both runs. Kaylee in a brand new sled, she only had 5 practice trips with it. Well, she knows she's the queen of speed and only lady in the competition with goggles. She's the leader. She's gonna need them goggles today.
Yeah, look at the difference that 24 hours has made in the weather. Kaylee Humphries leads by 34 hundredths. Laura Nolte in third behind Kim Kalicki, her teammate. Alana Myers-Taylor not too far behind. Behind them, though, Anja Grecu and Kati Bile and Mariama Yamanka, Stephanie Schneider. They're going to need somebody to give positions away in front of them. All 20 sleds yesterday got down without, well, I was going to say without drama, but without any crashes, so they will all go in the third and hopefully into the fourth heat. But conditions are very, very different. Air temperature now hovering just around freezing. It was about 4 degrees earlier on, and the ice temperature at -4.5. Talking to Francesco Frigic after the first two heats of the two-man, he said the key here is to stay in the middle of the track. Do not venture near the walls because there's 10 centimeters, around 3 or 4 inches of snow out there, and that is like putting out a parachute. So there's the key, clean down the middle. And Kaylee Humphries was doing that yesterday in good conditions, and that's why she is so far ahead of the field. But John, in these conditions, as we saw in Heat 2 yesterday and as we've seen in the men's race, it is very easy to make mistakes and give away time, so nothing is guaranteed. And after yesterday's competition, Kaylee said exactly that. Day one is done, forget about that. We've got a 2-heat race to go, and as far as she and everybody else is concerned, it is all up for grabs. Our start draw features the first sled in the rankings going first and the 20th sled going 20th. So this is likely where the field will spread out. Day 2 of action in the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Championships. Kaylee Humphries, the race leader, with Lolo Jones, ready to get the second day of action underway. Heat 3 of 4.
Yeah, Kaylee, 7th best in the first run, 4th best in the second run at the start, 73. That's the worst start of the 3 heats. But Kaylee called Lolo Jones up last summer. What are you doing? Brought Lolo Jones out of retirement. And the coaches really like Lolo's velocity, especially on this track. It's the longest track that we have on tour other than La Plan-France. So sprinter speed, very important.
Important to stay away from the sides down the straights as well into this 3 pressure Kreisel. She was very high and got great speed out of the Kreisel yesterday. She's using the same lines today. And like Francesco Frigic, going right down the middle of these straightaways is absolutely key.
Well, Martin, she is, you wouldn't know she's only got, well, now 8, this is her 8th trip in the track, 57.45. That's a full second slower than her first run yesterday, Martin. But that's relative to the amount of snow in the track, yeah, for sure.
Look here in the finish, how deep the snow is. In the last 90 minutes since the two-man race stopped, they have been sweeping the track absolutely non-stop. It's like trying to clear your driveway in a blizzard. It's a thankless task.
I look at the run. I mean, Lolo Jones got in pretty quick there, but again, they didn't have the best, the 7th and 4th best starts, but Kaylee blew everybody away driving, and you can understand why when you see this line. I mean, a little bit of a drift, and stays off the wall on our right. A little bit of a skid there, but she's got a huge lead going into this final 2 heats, Martin.
She does. Now, what can her rivals do about it? Kim Kalicki, World Championship silver medalist behind Kaylee 12 months ago. She lies in the silver medal position overnight. The gap is 1/3 of a second. She needs to rein that in.
In the 60s is what she had yesterday. 71, couple hundred slower, but so was Kaylee Humphries. So the start track we now know is a couple hundred slower. Snow accumulating every sled. If you're an athlete at the top of the track, as soon as that light turns green, you want to go. Kalicki made a good move yesterday. 3rd best time in the first run, 2nd best time in the second run. And she moved up from 3rd to 2nd. Not bad, didn't touch the wall. 1/4 second back. That's pretty good. She's closed the gap a little bit.
Got to keep it clean down at the bottom.
She has picked up some time. 3400s. 3400s was the lead. I think she's got into it a little bit. 29.
Yeah.
So she posts the best time of the heat. 57:40. She's not a second behind like Kaylee, but she likes it.
Yeah. So she should. Kim Kalicki and Ann-Kristen Strack. It's 1/4 of a second, the battle for gold. Is that within shooting distance? Well, on this track, anything almost is, isn't it?
Anything can happen, but Kaylee Humphries is the defending world champion. She's won 3 other times on this track in the World Cup Series. Martin, that's a lot of time. But again, like you said, anything can happen on this track.
And usually does. So next up, Lara Nolte. Now, the key yesterday was to get through that tricky second run, which is the one that did for her last year. She really does fly by the seat of her pants. She is win it or bin it, really on the edge all the time. And she has to push here if she wants to guarantee herself a medal. With Deborah Levy behind her, these two have been rock steady all year long.
Yeah, rock steady. They have the best start in the competition by a lot, both runs. And they're a little bit slower than yesterday, but so is everybody else. The best accomplishment for Lara Nolte is that last year she was in a bronze medal position at the end of heat 1, and she crashed out in heat 2. So she's by that albatross. Now she's got to try and eat into the lead that's in front of her for the previous 2 sleds. 2300's up at the last clock. 3300's there. She's lost to 10th. And remember, she had a big start advantage, losing more time back. She might have made a mistake up top that we didn't see, but she lost all of that start advantage, and that's not very good
that's
either.
Going away, and she's in trouble. She gathers it all back together, but that is time that she will never get back.
This could open the door for Alana Myers-Taylor coming up next.
Yeah, she didn't crash it,
was
but
900.
she gave away half a second.
Martin, she was 900s behind Kalicki. She's now 7400s behind Kalicki. She could drop 4 or 5 places with that run.
And that is a disastrous third run for Lara Nolte. Here in the Omega curve.
Here on the exit.
Good exit.
Watch on the right. She taps. Can't tap that little take on. Here, this is the graveyard. This is why we call it the graveyard. It's an uphill section over a little knoll that forces you to make that Tokyo drift we just saw there. Martin, she's unbelievable. She could drop 5, 6 places. Sepp Dosteller telling her.
Mercurial. She knows. Next up, Alana Myers-Taylor. Great medal opportunity for Alana. Didn't race here last year, didn't race at all last year, of course, because she gave birth to a baby just 14 months ago. Sylvia Hoffman behind her. And again, they've been a strong starting crew. Only Lara Nolte and Deborah Levy were quicker off the blocks yesterday. But for Alana now, this is the run that grabs the medal, or doesn't, I think.
560, anything around a 562 would be the norm. 64. Well, Alana's got her fate in her hands. Like in a golf tournament, they call the golf tournament the third heat of the golf tournament is usually the moving day. Same in bobsled with the 4 heats at the World Championships. This is when you want to position yourself to win a medal.
Well, she's had a great top part of the track. Nice exit out of Tudai, stays away from the walls into the Kreisel.
She's way back, though, Martin. Way back. She's going to have... Down here is where the mistakes were made by Nolte. This is where she could catch Nolte here in the bottom if she's clean here. 127. She's way back, Martin. Not going to do it. So maybe Nolte's run wasn't as bad as we thought. 149. Wow. That's 1 second and 1/1200 slower.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a little perplexing.
Well, talking to Kaylee after yesterday, she said you've got to hope that your weather forecasters are right. Guess the night before what runners you want to polish up and use. And she said some might guess better, some might not guess so well. Maybe Alana was expecting harder ice under the snow.
A little bit of skid here in the graveyard on the wrong side.
It's not bad. She was tapping a lot on the run down out of the Kreisel.
Yeah,
though.
but Martin, by the time she got to Kreisel, she was buried.
Well, so that does open the door potentially for Kati Bile and Jennifer Anastasia, the World Cup champions in women's bobsleigh from Austria. Bile with the 5th best starts and the 6th and the 8th run. She needs to get a top 3 run here. We know she can do it.
Yeah, it was 73, pretty much like everybody else, a little slower. Catherine, though, didn't have a great second run yesterday. Nice exit there. Let's see right here. Perfect. It's that little couple-inch spot that you got to hit. A little tap there on that second labyrinth. But this is where it was astonishing to see how far Alana Myers-Taylor was back, and so is Catherine Brill. I mean, I don't understand this. Can't be that much snow on the track.
0.2 of a second on the run so far to everybody else. Big skid there. The track is slowing down. The warmth and the humidity that the snow has brought is not helping the ice, and it was so hard and fast yesterday. 58.11, same time as Alana Myers-Taylor, so she makes up no ground at all on 4th place and loses ground to 3rd place. Having said Lara Nolte had just driven herself out of the medals, it looks like nobody is in a position to catch her. Unless there is an Andrea Grecu run from Andrea Grecu, the medals are looking more settled rather than less.
The only athlete that made a move was Kalicki on Humphreys, and by just 500ths. Everybody else has drifted to the wrong side of the equation.
So, what about Andrea Grecu? Well, she was 12th after the first heat, drove herself up into 6th position in the second heat. I mean, an astonishing drive from the young Romanian. What was it? It was the 3rd fastest run of the heat, behind only Humphreys and Kalicki. So, can she and Katarina Witt have another magical run here? Is there a chance even maybe of a medal? Another top 3 run, and suddenly she's right in the mix.
79, pretty good. Only 300ths worse than her start yesterday, which were both identical. Martin, she made all her time from intermediate 3 to 4 yesterday as I looked over the charts. Good exit there in the second run. The first run, she was pretty pedestrian. 123. If she stays within 130 here, she's on it. The 131. She's got a chance here to move up at least.
Needs a good exit.
Remember, last year she crashed out here last year in the second run. She's by that stage.
Not moving up yet.
No, not at all.
Don't think she's got the pace at the bottom. Not sure anybody has. I think the field is just going to spread out.
She did.
She picks one off.
She
gets ahead of Catty Bile.
By 300ths, and she's 1700ths out. Hey, you have to admire what this athlete has done, Martin, from what she did last year. Coming off a second-place finish at the World Cup, leading into this event, crashed out in the second heat to come back here, and she's put out a pretty good performance in the second and third runs.
Well, John,
top
not just
5
crashing
going into
out
the fourth
here,
run.
she also crashed out of the Worlds in Whistler in 2019. She has not yet completed a World Championship 4 runs, so this is new territory.
We're not supposed to root for any athletes. We're supposed to be neutral, Martin, but I'm rooting for her. Staying fit
I root
at
for
least.
all of them. Look at the smile on their faces. Next up is our Olympic champion, Mariama Yamanka, with Vanessa Mark behind her. Let's see what they can produce. 1/100th of a second behind Grecu after 2 heats. And she is today not the 4th of the 4 German sleds. She has been following her younger teammates almost everywhere all season long. She needs to try and find some form. If not today, then she'd better have a great summer and come back with all guns blazing in the autumn.
Martin,
World champion 2019 in Whistler. Yeah. She went the opposite way to Grecu. 12th best run in the second heat. Can't afford another loose one like that.
She's only got 100th deficiency to Greco's, and so she's in reach of Catherine Brill too with a good run here. But you know, her start isn't the best, the 7th best so far of 7 sleds.
Yeah, 100 slower than Andrea Grecu at the start, but she has already found the speed to creep ahead of Catty Bile on the split time, so she's now trying to pick up 1 spot from Grecu and 1 spot from Bile.
She could do both, Martin, with some good bottom half.
Really late off the Kreisel, got away with it.
Straight away, the graveyard, not bad, 148. She's got a chance. This is going to be close. She's going to be in the 60s. She could pick off 2.
She does pick off 2.
158.
Yeah.
Moved up 2 spots. She's right within 900ths. Yeah, she's in 900ths of Alana Myers-Taylor.
But she is still
she needed this run.
6,500ths out of the medals, and she's 5th. I mean, the gaps are vast.
Yes, compared to usually when it's a lot closer. She's a minute, 1 second 58, which is like a minute behind after 3 runs. But Martin, this was her best heat of the 3. This is the moving day heat in the sport of bobsled, like the 3rd round in golf, and she just put herself in a chance. She's got an outside chance, Martin. I mean, Nolte has to make a big mistake, but
yeah,
she
somebody
moved up
has
2
to
spots.
crash it away. Well, in the background, you just saw Anja Schneider-Heinz, a world champion in Innsbruck. Stephanie Schneider was her break woman then. Leni Fiebig is behind Schneider here. Leni's got a little good luck charm, a set of running spikes on a chain that she wears around her neck. They've just been on a round trip to the International Space Station. Doesn't seem to have enhanced their good luck, though.
186, third best start of the heat, which is what they did yesterday. Schneider, she's got a lot of success. You know, doesn't want to be back as the fourth-rated German. There's a race within a race here, and the men's competition, we got 3 German sleds in the top 4, and I think there could be a sweep by the time that's all done tomorrow. 108 back.
Silver medalist.
This is pretty good. This is very
Silver
good, Martin.
Yeah, silver 2 years ago in Whistler. She's coming on. Best speed at the bottom from Stephanie Schneider. Maybe those good luck charms are working. No way, she can't get herself into a medal. Schneider, where's she going to end up? Huge run from Stephanie Schneider. Huge run. She is, what's that, 1,500 out of the medals. That is astonishing.
She just went by Alana Myers-Taylor by 4/10.
She just left 4 sleds trailing in her wake.
It's the second best time of the run. There's a statement. Now she's put herself ahead of Jamaica, and now she's going to chase down Nolte. I don't think she's got a chance to catch Kalecki.
Wow.
That's too far of a reach. But remember yesterday, Martin, she had sideways here in the graveyard.
Yeah.
It was a terrible first run. She certainly made up for it. But, you know, it's about consistency in 4 heats, Martin. It's not about having best one and worst the other.
Now, late change for Martina Fontenev. Nadia Pasternak pulled up lame in warm-up, and so 26-year-old Mara Morel, at 10 minutes' notice, is on the back of the sled to make her first ever World Championship start. Well, she's raced already this season in the World Cup with Martina.
Boy, there should be 400s better than yesterday. They should have had an 82. They had an 87. So they're 10 hundredths off their best start. Everybody else is 2, 3, or 4 hundredths off. So
well, again,
obviously
Morel
the
was
break
not,
change didn't help.
Yeah, she wasn't expecting to drive, so she won't have been fully warmed up. And that will have affected her performance. What about Martina then? She had 2 7th fastest runs.
Don't see her moving up, Martin. She's going to lose 10 more hundredths. She's going to be about 175 down here at the bottom, 1.8, maybe 1.8. Watch her here in the straightaway in the graveyard. And that's pretty good, 1.8. Yeah, so she could be 2 seconds down, Martin. She could fall a couple spots here.
Quick here yesterday, but 2
seconds.
seconds exactly. Both the Swiss sleds in the women's race and both the Swiss sleds in the men's race were quick at the bottom, below 13, 14. She's wearing a yellow visor today to cut down the glare from the snow. Well,
that
well done to Mara
door
Morel.
for both Canadian sleds.
Does a little, doesn't it?
Yeah. And they're not far away. They're 1,200s. Riesling's 2,300s away, but and with Cynthia Appiah's start time coming up.
Yeah.
Not much wrong with the drive down the track, Martin.
Well, yeah, that big skid, though, down in the speed part of the track, backing it into 15 never helps. Martina, yeah, she knows a little bit of speed got away there. Well, you talked about Cynthia Appiah. She's next up, 10th overnight. First World Championships in the front seat with Erica Voss behind her. And Appiah just really put down a great run in the first heat and in the second. 5th best start, 9th best start, but 2 9th place runs. She drove really well. We're expecting her to start hard because she's a former elite brakewoman, but to be driving top 10 speeds in her first Worlds was mighty impressive.
Well, if they're really going for it, this should be like a 72 or a 73 start. 68 was their best. 72 would be at least what they want. 75. So they're a little bit better than their second run yesterday. A little disparity at the start over 2 heats. But Martin, first World Championship. First time we see her was last week.
Yep.
As a driver, she is an elite athlete now in the front seat.
And This is a sled they've borrowed from Shanwayne Stevens of Jamaica, so she's not got a lot of time in this sled. Ooh, skating down the straightaway, and that's not helping.
She might get ahead of Maria Fontenay, but that's about it. Oh my God. She's got to get down first.
Yeah. She backed it in there as well, same as Martina.
Yeah, so she's not gonna move up, Martin. The question is this run gonna put her in jeopardy of moving behind her teammate Riesling, who's coming up next, 58.58. Boy, they're 1 second and 4,900 slower than her 1 second 5,300 slower. That's how much of a different track we have today. But, you know, it's her first World Championship, Martin, a top 10.
Yeah. If she gets a top 10, I mean, that will be a sensational result for her personally.
That tap there, look at the back end come up. And this is curve 3 to 4. And that causes more steering. What's on the right side? Does she tap here in the take-on? Yeah, that's a mistake. Out of 9. Look, you could see her late, and she really steered hard to come off. And that caused this type of result.
And all the way down the wall in that deep snow. Well, there, one more run. You're absolutely right, Cynthia. And anything could still happen in that as well. 10 sleds down, 10 to go, heat 3 of 4. Kaylee Humphries stretching away, but still in reach. Alicia Riesling of Canada, 2100s behind her teammate Cynthia Appia. Appia 10th, Alicia Riesling 11th after the first day's racing, with Dawn Richardson-Wilson behind her.
Good, 77, that's great. That's only 200ths away from her teammate in the first heat yesterday. She was well back of about 600-800ths at the start. And she's the better of the two drivers. Opportunity here to have her come out of this is Canada 1. I keep talking about the Germans race within a race. Well, these 3 Canadian sleds, last week there was a race-off amongst these Canadian sleds.
Yeah, Cynthia Appia got the nod for the women's race, and I think Melissa Lotholtz, who we saw up in the start area, I think she'll be in the monobob race. She had real good form in the monobobs.
Good form in the two-person bob too. So Canadians have got 4 pilots, you know, jockeying for these 3 spots. She could move up 1 here.
She does.
She does.
Gets ahead of teammate Appia by 300ths of a second. So, yeah, so basically we've got a dead heat between the 2 fastest Canadian sleds, 1 run to settle who is the queen of Canadian bobsledding for this season.
Don't rule out Christina De Bruyne. I mean, she's way back. It's going to need some kind of run, like we saw out of Stephanie Schneider, maybe, to move up. But, you know, Riesling, the more experienced pilot. But, boy, look at the articulation on that sled. Got bounced and split there a couple times. Straightened out as she came into this Kreisel. And let's take a look at, she looks at chasing down Kaylee. Pretty similar lines. Kaylee pulling away in the Kreisel, though. That's the time lapse.
Yeah.
And here in this 11-12, I don't know if there's more of a treacherous 2-corner combination than that one.
Yeah, no, that's a scary corner. So Rios moves up 1, top 10 with 1 heat to go. 12th place after the first heat. A very happy French duo, Margot Bock and Carla Seneschal, after the first day's racing. They start 17th fastest, but they had 2 clean runs. Few mistakes in the first heat, much better in the second.
89, that's the worst start of the 3, but only 100. Everybody else is 3 or 400s back.
Coming down the middle out of Omega, more and more sleds now. They're seeming to working it out today.
It's slower. It's a little easier to take on that transition corner.
Yeah, but you've got to stay away from the edges.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, that's what takes the speed out of the sled. That's why the speed disappears, not because you're hitting so much, but because you're being dragged down by the snow.
She could chance, she could catch Appia. She could be here 229, 230.
Gonna be close.
Catch 2 Canadians, 233.
Nice best run.
ties.
Wow, excellent.
Ties
so
Appia.
3 sleds
That's a great
covered
run.
by 300ths of a second. That's a great battle for a 10th place finish. She doesn't move up, but
top
she
10.
doesn't move back.
She actually does move up. She closes the gap. She was 1000ths down. She beat both Canadian sleds there she had 700ths better than Appia and Riesling. 1000ths better than Appia, 7 than Riesling. Good driving, Martin. I mean, she's got the worst start of the sleds that have come down yet. And she posts, I think, the 8th best time of the heat.
Well, the 2 girls train in Margot's parents' garage at their house. So Carla basically lives at the box house. Next up, Anastasia Makarova with Alexandra Tarasova, the 2 of them World Championship debutantes. And they lie in 13th place after the first heat. They were 700ths behind
race within
the
a
French
race.
sled. Yeah.
3 Russian sleds coming up here. One of them trying to emerge is the Bobsled Federation of Russia's sleds. They're sweeping the track now. That's why you see this slight every 3 sleds. So a slight delay. Which some athletes will tell you disrupts their procedure as they stand there. Now they got the regular routine. Couple pats in the back.
So Makarova's only started 3 World Cup races. She was a silver medalist in the under-23 Junior Worlds in St. Moritz just a couple of weeks ago.
Boy, 580, 580. Everybody else, is going 300-400ths difference. They went 589, 900ths from their heats yesterday. So that's the first deficiency in the run. There's a good exit out of Omega to 5. Oh, there's a mistake. Better than yesterday, Martin. She was sideways there. 11th best speed, which isn't bad. That's a good line. 216 back. She's right on the margin of catching one of these sleds. No, she's not now. She's going to stay in that position.
Yeah, across the line, 13th of the 13 sleds. 10th best run, though. So she was actually quicker than Alicia Riesling, quicker than Cynthia Appia, same speed as Martina Fontenev. 58.32. Now that might be important because she was only 100th ahead of the next sled. There's another athlete limping getting out the sled. We saw that from Rostislav Gajtukovic this morning and Hans-Peter Hanighofer.
Martin, the next 2 sleds are tied to the 100. So there's 2 sleds, that could overtake her with better runs.
Yeah, good point. 3 sleds covered by 100. Bang, bang. Close enough?
Yeah. On this track?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, it's unbelievable that this person in 4th is a second off the top. That's unbelievable.
Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Sarah Ertz for Belgium. As you said, tied for 14th, 100th behind Makarova.
94, well, that's about 90 and 90 yesterday, 94, that's what everybody else is doing, 300-400s worse. And could catch the BFR sled at the bottom. 199, boy, she's gonna have to find better lines than that to do it.
Yeah, let's see if her experience can help her. All the way down the straight in the snow.
She's got a chance. Got a chance moving up a spot.
Good speed going into the Kreisel. Not great speed coming off it.
230, she's got a chance. 232, she's right on the bubble. She should pick off the BFR sled.
Does she get to Makarova? No, not quite. Yes. 200s back. So Makarova doubled her advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, they went from 100. They were tied, Martin. They were tied to 200s.
Well, no, she's tied with Melanie Hassler. So Makarova had 100, now has 2. But
100. There you go.
Will great opportunity for the Swiss to move up. Melanie Hassler and Van Nieuwenhuis couldn't find the speed she needed, and down this straight in the snow, crosses over back into the snow. And look how deep it is. It like buries the runners. Yeah. And then a little lower down as well. Exit of Kreisel.
Little quick tap here and kept it straight though.
Ooh, on
I'd like
hard.
to see her with a good start.
11, 12, nog een beetje beter. Misschien straks nog een beetje schuiven. We'll see, we'll see.
We'll see, we'll see. One more run to go for the sleds that have been. Melanie Hassler and Irina Strebel now for Switzerland. Tied with Van Nieuwenhuis, 100th behind Makarova. They could pick off a couple of sleds here with a good, consistent run.
81's a good start compared to yesterday, 78, 81. So they're the only team in the field that matched their first heat start from yesterday. That's a good sign. She didn't have a very good second run yesterday, Martin. Her first run, 13th in the first, 10th run in the second.
Yeah. She has just come off 2 good weeks in St. Moritz. She got her first World Cup medal and then bronze as well in the Junior Worlds the following week. And
good speed she's got there. This is very good.
Pick off a couple.
199.
Now, how close can she get to the tie for 11th with Appiah and Bock?
Martin, she's going to move up at least 2.
Yeah. Across the line, she is in 10th place.
7th best time of the run.
She has picked off
up
5 sleds.
5 people. That's
Rissling,
the way to
Appiah, Bock, Makarova, and Van Nieuwenhuis. Wow.
This is the moving heat, and she just made the biggest move.
She was 16th fastest, 10th fastest, 7th fastest. That's how you learn. Wow.
And coming late in the heat too, Martin. Not working with the best ice. If you're going to make a statement run, the 3rd heat's where you want to do it, to position yourself. And other than Stephanie Schneider, she made the biggest move. I mean, Schneider made a move up to the medals from nowhere. And Hassler has gone from the better than back of the pack
16th
to
after the first
finish.
heat, 10th place. Kaylee Humphries, Kim Killicky, Lara Nolte, the top 3, and we have 5 sleds to go in heat 3 of 4. And now we get to our second Bobsleigh Federation of Russia athletes. Nadezhda Sergeyeva and Yulia Belomesnik. Sergeyeva's best World Championship results, couple of 4th place finishes. She was 4th here last year. She has had almost as disappointing a season, I think, as it's possible to have. 6th place here, I beg your pardon, last year. 10th in Heat 1, so-so. 18th out of 20 in Heat 2. That doesn't even get onto the so-so scale, does it? She had a horrible second heat. And it's pretty much summing up her season.
Yeah, she's got the 8th and 7th best starts. You know, at 72, 70, 76, that's the norm. And, you know, when you have that type of start, okay, there she does it again. She did that in the second heat yesterday. You can't make that mistake at a curve 1. And now let's see, she crushes the wall here on the right. No, at least she gets by that. Yesterday, she had that Elvis type of run, Martin. It was loud. There's another one. And again, she's now the Russia. She's Russia number 1. She's the BFR sled number 1 until the last 3 or 4 races.
Yeah. Well, and actually, the woman who I thought was going to overtake her, Lubov Chernik, has had an even more disastrous day yesterday. And it's not Chernik who's ahead of Sergeyeva. It's the newcomer, Makarova, who's only started 2 World Cup races. And Sergeyeva makes up no ground.
Yeah, she gets a little closer to...
Yeah. 800s behind Anne Van Nieuwenhuis. So she does close a little,
she's
13th best run, but again, as you say, 8th best start. No, it's just not working for her this year.
Well, you can't do that, Martin. I mean, that at the top of the track out of curve 1. And this is in the Omega curve, but tough to get through there without steering any. And then the back end of the sled here was in the drift.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
you're going to have a slump. This is the year to do it.
She looks like Yamanka every time she gets out of a sled, just perpetually puzzled. She's doing the same things, they're just no longer working. And that could go for Christine de Bruin as well. Last year's bronze medalist, she's the 4th from last after the first day's action. 17th and 16th, her 2 runs.
84. Boy, Martin, her first heat yesterday, 473. So 77, 78, 84. And the drive down the track was...
Yeah, only 4 of the 16 previous sleds have started slower.
Well, we know Christina's got great talent. Her husband didn't do so well this morning, almost tipped over in the exit of Omega in the 3rd run today, and he dropped a bunch of spots.
Yeah, dropped out of the top 20, but Christine, she's not, it's just not stitched together well.
Gonna move up.
17th.
Not gonna move up. Gonna stay there.
You know, I think the gap opened up,
17th best time. Yeah, lost more time back. She's now 4,100ths back, and she was only 900ths back from the Bobsled Federation Russia sled Sarajevo.
Do you know, I bet she almost wishes she didn't have to do a 4th heat. That's what a horrible couple of days at the office for last year's bronze medalist. In fact, the bronze medalist in the last 2 World Championships.
Martin, and she's emerging from this race most likely as the 3rd Canadian sled. And there's 4 Canadian female drivers in the hunt. That's going to be a pretty amazing selection process going into next year.
Got to say, where she is now, Melissa Lottholtz wouldn't be thrilled to be 17th. Imagine how less thrilled Christine de Bruin is. And for Misha McNeil as well, 18th place on a track where 3 seasons ago she finished top 4, having led in the first heat of a full-fat women's race. 18th best starts, an 18th place and a 17th place run.
You know, again, we talk about she led this World Cup competition a couple years ago after the first heat on this track, fell to 4th. She's another athlete I could think you could label has been in a slump most of the season, Martin. There's not really been the results, and, you know, she's had the results before.
And you know, this is one of the great secrets of sport. If you can put down a run that beats everybody in a field, it's repeating that. That's the one secret, isn't it? It's in there somewhere. It's just getting it right. And all the changes in coaching they've had and funding and everything else have not helped. But definitely, Misha McNeil has not been able to recapture that form on any kind of consistent basis, and that's the biggest problem for British women's bobsledding, is that it's in there somewhere but just can't get unlocked. 58.54. Well, that is
at least this time
1.1 seconds slower than her last run.
Well, everybody's a second slower. 19th in the first run, 18th in the second run, 16th in that run. So at least there's some positive thing we can talk about. 11, 12. You know, there's 13, not bad. I mean, not a lot of fault at the driving. Maybe, oh, there's a back end. Look at that, up in the air, going into 14. The runs are pretty good, Martin. maybe they're just too smooth.
Well, we get to our final two sleds, and this is the BFR sled that I thought would be leading the charge. Lubovchenik with Alana Mamedova, start draw number 1. She found that the ice yesterday in the first heat particularly was hard and glassy, and she could not get a handle on it. Behind her in the cap, Victoria Tokovaya, the driving coach, and 2.6 seconds off the pace. I don't think she's been 2.6 seconds off since we ever saw this woman driving. Well, if the Valentino Rossi shark helmet is ever going to bring her any kind of good luck, it needs to bring her some good lines right now, because boy, does she need them.
Well, the start, you know, the 16th best start in 88, that's pretty good. 83, 87, then an 88, you know, that's... But Martin, no reason for her to be back in the 18th, 19th position like she is. Now she doesn't have any kind of ice to work with. Yesterday in the first run, she was the rabbit, first person down, did not take advantage of it. So that could be runner selection, setup. Yeah, 6th best speed, and that's pretty good speed right there.
Well, she finished 13th here last year, John. You know, she would have, at the very least, been expecting to be in the top 10, even with the same caliber field. You know, she's a year more experienced, should be a year better. Looks like she's wound the clock back a further 2 years. 10th best run, but it doesn't move her up.
Martin, you know, usually you can get a pretty good handle on picking people where they're going to finish. There's 3 or 4 people here we've seen come down. Sergeyeva, De Bruyn, McNeil. I mean, it's confusing why some of these athletes are back in this position.
And how is she suddenly 7/10 faster in the snow than she was in Heat 2 yesterday?
That tells you how bad a run she had yesterday.
I know.
Well, that's how bad she was yesterday.
It's just, but this wasn't, I mean, this was not a good run. And it's still the 10th fastest. So again, it's in there somewhere. It just didn't come out on day 1. Our final sled in the 3rd heat of 4 then is Sylwia Smolarek of Poland. 2nd World Championships for her. She's got a new brakewoman this season, Julian Slupeka, who wasn't here in Altenberg last year. So boy, this has been an eye-opener for Julia, hasn't it? 20th place after the 1st heat. And for them, it is about experience for Sylwia Smolarek. Get it down, get it done, and just learn.
She was awesome last year coming out here, crashing a couple times in training, and she qualified for the race, made all 4 heats. This year, as I said yesterday, she's got a much bigger brake. Yeah. And, you know, it's about descents down the track. Ooh, well, that's a lot of steerage there in Omega.
Well, this is the only Polish representation in the World Championships in terms of competitors. There are Polish coaches here, but there's no men's bobsled team any longer. There's no skeleton athletes here from Poland either. So she is flying the flag, not just for Poland, but particularly appropriately in their current political climate for Polish women. She, in her 2nd World Championships, still yet to start a World Cup race. Across the line, 3 runs done. She is down safely, and that will give her 1 more heat to complete her 2nd World Championships.
And she'll be the first athlete we see in the next run, Martin.
Yep, absolutely right. Finished in 16th place on her debut last year, and currently in 20th spot.
You know, little tap there out of Exeter Kreisel into this 11-12 two-corner combination that is nightmarish to some. 13, 14 here, that's pretty good.
Well, Polish sled is down. That completes our third heat of 4. We have one more run to decide the destiny of the medals. It seems most likely that the USA's Kaylee Humphries and Lolo Jones will be the gold medalists. Kaylee defending the title she won here last year, her 3rd World Championship gold medal after victories in Lake Placid and Samoritz. And now, a decade on, nearly, she may end up with another pair of back-to-back gold medals, and uniquely on the same track. Kim Kilicki is within striking distance. Lara Nolte has to fend off teammate Stephanie Schneider. And if she really makes a hash of it, maybe Alana Myers-Taylor might end up in the medals. Everywhere else, all sorts of little stories and plenty of close racing. Look, 11th and the tie for 12th. 3 sleds covered by 300s behind Makarova and Van Nieuwenhuis. 200s apart. 200s between Sergeva and De Bruin. Lots to deal with in the final heat, not the least of which will be the weather. Join John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew to see who is going to take the gold, the silver and the bronze here in Altenberg as we hand out the first medals of the 2021 World Championships.